Coming up today, bringing an end to their months-long dispute, the two Koreas agreed to hike the minimum monthly wage for North Korean workers at their joint industrial complex by 5%. More gloom for China as a number of economic institutions are projecting the world's second-largest economy will grow less than 7% in the latter half of the year. Plus, utter carnage in Bangkok as a bomb kills at least 22 people and injures scores more at a shrine in the centre of the Thai capital. Stay tuned for these stories and more. Hello, it's noon on Tuesday, the 18th of August. You're tuned in to our midday newscast here on Arirang TV. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Broome. Our top story this afternoon, the two Koreas are locked in a bitter cycle of verbal disagreements over political and military issues, but they have finally agreed upon a wage hike for North Korean workers at their joint industrial complex in Kaesong. Sources close to the matter say the two sides have decided to raise the minimum wage by 5%. The same level at which the wage has been set every year. Seoul and Pyongyang had been entangled in a wage dispute for months. North Korea wanted wages increased by slightly under 5.2% for its 55,000 workers at the complex. On top of the wage hike agreement, the sources also say the two sides will hold a meeting of a joint committee in charge of running the complex to discuss how to revise labour guidelines there. The Kaesong complex, which opened in 2004, is the last remaining beacon of inter-Korean cooperation and is a source of much-needed revenue for the North Korean regime. Now it's a battle of the boombox at the inter-Korean border. North Korea has started broadcasting propaganda across the border after Seoul recently decided to do the same following a landmine explosion at the DMZ. But South Korean officials and experts say it will have little effect, if any, on the south. Connie Kim reports.
North Korea's loudspeakers along the border with South Korea broadcasts contents that condemn South Korea and promote the reclusive regime. However, the effectiveness of Pyongyang's campaign is questionable. An official from Seoul's defense ministry said Tuesday that North Korea's loudspeakers are old and barely audible in the south. This may be the reason South Korea couldn't determine exactly when North Korea's loudspeaker campaign began. It's been reported that North's propaganda warfare noise was detected on the eastern front line. However, the loudspeaker noise was also detected in some areas in the central and western front lines. Experts say Pyongyang's reaction was the least the regime could do to counter Seoul's propaganda campaign. The Korea Institute for National Unification says because North Korea is aware that the United States will fully support South Korea in case of any local war, it's less likely to launch a provocation as the South Korea and U.S. joint military drills are taking place. The South Korean official also said the loudspeakers were meant to prevent its people from hearing the South's anti-Pyongyang broadcast. South Korea's propaganda campaign broadcasts contents related to democracy, news outside of Pyongyang, and even weather, information experts say could heavily influence North Korean citizens and soldiers. The broadcasts can be heard 24 kilometers away at night and 10 kilometers away during the daytime. Connie Kim, Arirang News.
Now, South Korea and the United States started their annual joint military drills on Monday despite threats from North Korea. The U.S. State Department says the exercises were planned long in advance and are proceeding normally. In Washington on Monday, State Department spokesman John Kirby said the routine exercises were about improving alliance capabilities and nothing more. The allies maintain their annual drills are purely defensive in nature, while Pyongyang regularly protests against them. They did the same this year. At this year's Ulchi Freedom Guardian, it takes place amid rising tensions between the two Koreas following the recent explosion of a North Korean landmine at the DMZ. Ahead of the exercises, Pyongyang threatened to launch its strongest military action against the US if it proceeded with the drills. The Wall Street Journal has published an editorial critical of Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's statement last week, marking the 70th anniversary of the end of World War II. In the article titled Abe's Abe's mixed apology. The US paper said it was a relief. Abe did not modify his predecessor's past apologies for wartime aggression and reiterated their apologies in his statement. However, it said it was hard to credit Japan's apologies as sincere when the country's school textbooks whitewash atrocities and politicians play down Japan's responsibility for starting the war. It ended by advising Abe to face history squarely if he wants his country to be unshackled from its past. Back here in Korea, and discussions are continuing at the National Assembly over how to redistrict constituencies for next year's general elections. Today's special committee meeting comes around 3 weeks after the rival parties clashed over how to proceed on the issue. They both agree that the total number of lawmakers in the Assembly should remain at 300, but are at odds over how proportional representatives should be elected and how many seats should be given to them. The ruling Saenuri party wants to cut the number of proportional representatives. The main opposition, New Politics Alliance for Democracy, is pushing for more, it says, as a way of soothing chronic regionalism in Korea. Rival party leaders attended a memorial ceremony on this Tuesday to mark the 6th anniversary of the former President Kim Daejung's death. Lawmakers and religious figures laid flowers and burned incense to pay tribute to Kim at a commemoration event at the Seoul National Cemetery. Kim Daejung was South Korea's president from 1998 to 2003. Now, he took office in the middle of an economic crisis and vigorously pushed economic reform and restructuring as recommended by the IMF. Kim also started policy engagement with North Korea, termed the Sunshine Policy, which culminated in a historic summit in 2000 between Kim and then North Korean leader Kim Jong-il in Pyongyang. Now, with China's recent currency depreciation and stock market routes, many global institutions are predicting the world's second biggest economy will fail to meet its economic growth target of 7% for the latter half of this year. Kwon So-ah reports.
Although China managed to reach its target of 7% growth in the first half of the year, the chances of that happening in the second half of the year look to be less likely. A rate of 6.9% is the average that 15 major financial institutions are predicting. The IMF and OECD's forecast stands at 6.8%. Economic figures from last month are adding to concerns. China's on-year industrial production dropped from 6.8% in June to 6% last month, and both exports and imports plunged more than 8% compared to the year before. Experts say China's slowdown is a result of its policies focusing on overinvestment and a surplus in stocks. The recent stock plunges are also a barrier to the real estate market, which is responsible for around 15% of the nation's growth. Concerns are mounting that this will have an impact on Korea and other Asian nations highly dependent on China's exports. Korea's benchmark Kospi dropped to below 2,000 when China depreciated its currency a week ago. But some analysts say it's not going to be that serious.
It could affect the stock market, but we already experienced that. With exports already declining throughout the year, we don't expect a bigger shock in the second half of the year.
According to Korea Development Institute, however, every 1 percentage point drop in growth in China could mean up to a 0.17 percentage point drop for Korea's growth. Kwon So-ah, Arirang News.
Now, staying with economic news, and Korea's biggest business group saw some lackluster figures on the whole in the first half of this year. Newly released data shows their combined profits fell by roughly 1/5 on year. Some of the bigwigs in the boardrooms of some major companies like Samsung Electronics saw their paychecks drop as a result. Song Ji-sun reports.
Local market researcher Chaebol.com says the net profit of listed firms among Korea's top 10 business groups stood at $15 billion in the first half of this year. That's down 20% from the same period last year. Sales also dropped 8% to $263 billion. The slump was especially noticeable within Samsung Group. Samsung's operating profit more than halved to just over $4.6 billion. Hyundai Motor Group POSCO, and Hanjin were among the 5 others who saw their profits fall. Of the 10, only SK, LG, Lotte, and Hanwha saw their figures improve from 2014. The market researcher also released figures that showed board executives at Samsung Electronics saw their salaries drop in the first half of the year, following slumping smartphone sales. Shin Jong-gyun, Kwon Ho-hyun, and Yoon Boo-gun all received more than $1 million over the 6-month period, but their paychecks had more than halved on average. Samsung posted a near 8% fall in its net profit for the second quarter amid lackluster results in its flagship smartphone business, despite the launch of ambitious new models. But overall, the number of executives receiving more than $420,000 in the first half increased to 227 this year, up 35 from 2014. Yu Kyung-sun, the head of Yujin Group, topped the list, taking home a cool $13 million. Song Ji-sun, Arirang News.
Now, Korean memory chip makers continue to tighten their grip on the global DRAM market, hitting a new record high in terms of market share. According to market researcher DRAM Exchange on Tuesday, Samsung Electronics took up roughly 57.5% of the market in the second quarter, while its local rival SK Hynix held just under 24%. The combined figure accounts for 81.5% of the market, breaking the previous record of 75% posted in the January to March period. US-based Micron was the third biggest player at 16.5%, while Taiwan-based Nanya and Winbond posted a combined 1.9% share. Korea's largest automaker, Hyundai Motor Group, will hire an extra 10,500 workers this year. Hyundai says it is creating an extra 1,000 openings in addition to the 9,500 new jobs it announced earlier this year. It will mark the first time Hyundai Motor has taken on more than 10,000 new workers in the space of a year. The automaker said its recent decision to adopt a so-called wage peak system for its older employees enabled it to take on the extra people. Hyundai says it will ask for active participation and cooperation from its affiliates. The Thai capital of Bangkok is reeling after its deadliest bomb attack in years. At least 22 people have been killed and over 100 others injured, many seriously, after the blast near a shrine in the centre of the city. No word yet on who carried out the bloody attack. Kim Ji-yeon reports.
The bomb went off at a popular tourist spot in Bangkok on Monday evening local time, killing more than 20 people and wounding scores more. Authorities believe the attack was deliberate, aimed at destroying the country's economy, which relies on tourism for growth. So far, no one has claimed responsibility for the blast, which occurred at a city intersection close to the Hindu shrine of Erawan, an area packed with shopping centers and five-star hotels.
I heard the blast from my way to the hotel from the airport. It was very close to the shopping center.
The perpetrators intended to take away many lives because the incident occurred at 7 p.m. when many are gathered.
The Thai government has offered its condolences to the families of the victims. It also vowed to bring those responsible to justice.
The Prime Minister and the government would like to express our deepest condolences to the victims' families. The government insists that we will do everything in our power to investigate, with our utmost effort to bring those involved and who are behind all of this to be sentenced.
Media outlets suspect one of the country's political factions, including Muslim separatists in the southern part of Thailand, could have been responsible. The city intersection was the site of anti-government protests in 2010 by supporters of ousted former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra. Kim Ji-yeon, Arirang News.
Korean billionaire Chung MongJoon has officially announced his bid for the top seat in world football. For more on what he promised to accomplish if he becomes the first Asian to head the organisation, Shin Se-min reports.
Chung MongJoon has officially launched his formal campaign for the presidency of FIFA by promising to clean up world football's governing body if he gets elected. Speaking at a news conference in Paris on Monday local time, Chung said he was the right man to lead FIFA, which he said was currently undergoing a profound crisis. Without mincing his words, he also criticized current FIFA president Sepp Blatter and vowed to fix the corruption-ridden organization.
Organizations begin to corrupt when the leader thinks he is indispensable. If I'm elected, I will serve only one term, 4 years. I can change FIFA in 4 years.
Chung, a veteran figure in Korean football, who's also the controlling shareholder in one of the world's biggest companies, Hyundai Heavy Industries, believes the time is ripe for change.
We now live in a different era. FIFA needs to reflect the different reality. Continuity is very important, but so is change.
Promising to enhance checks and balances between FIFA's leadership and judicial bodies, Chung also vowed to create better financial transparency if he wins the election in February. He also laid out measures for the increased and smoother distribution of financial assistance to national football federations. Chung has over a decade of experience as an administrator in FIFA and the Korea Football Association. He also played a pivotal role in bringing the World Cup to South Korea in 2002, when the country co-hosted the event with Japan. Shin Se-min, Arirang News.
And that's all we have for now on this Tuesday afternoon here in Seoul. I'm Mark Broome. Have a wonderful day, and thank you as always for watching, and we do hope to see you at the same time tomorrow. Until then, goodbye.